The Coalition warship Aegis trembled as another enemy blast struck its weakened shields. On the bridge, Commander Sung gripped her command chair and studied the tactical display with growing concern. Red indicators representing Dominion warships vastly outnumbered the blue markers of her own forces. "Status report," she demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Officer June looked up from his console, his face grim. "Not good, Commander. We've lost the Valiant and the Steadfast. Shields across the fleet are failing. The Arcturus defense line cannot hold much longer." Sung nodded silently. The Galactic Coalition, once a proud alliance of 17 advanced species, now faced total defeat. For 8 years they had fought against the relentless expansion of the Void Dominion, a hive-minded species determined to convert or destroy all other life forms. Today it seemed the war would finally end, not with victory, but extinction. "Commander," called Communications Officer Day. "Urgent transmission from High Command." "Put it through," Sung ordered. Admiral Lee's hologram appeared, his usually immaculate uniform now disheveled. Battle damage was visible in the background of his command center. "Commander Sung, I have news that may change our situation," said Lee. "Our deep space scouts have made contact with a previously unknown intelligent species from a star system we overlooked. Sol. They call themselves humans." Sung raised an eyebrow. "With respect, Admiral, what difference can one new species make? Now? The battle is nearly lost. These humans are—" Lee paused, searching for words. "Different. Their representatives have reviewed our tactical situation and offered assistance. They claim to have unconventional warfare methods that might surprise the Dominion. We need more than surprises, Admiral. We need a miracle. Perhaps that's what they're bringing. Their lead vessel will arrive at your position within the hour. Coordinate with their Captain Kim and give her full cooperation." The transmission ended before Sung could protest further. She turned to her bridge crew, who watched her expectantly. "It seems we have reinforcements coming," she announced, keeping her doubts hidden. "Prepare to receive an alien vessel from a species called human." Officer Han, the eldest on the bridge, shook his head. "In my 300 cycles, I've never heard of these humans. What system did they evolve in?" "Sol," Sung replied. "Apparently we overlooked it." "Overlooked?" Science Officer Hyun joined the conversation. "Our exploration charts are thorough. How could we miss an entire intelligent species?" Before anyone could answer, the ship's sensors chimed an alert. "Unknown vessel approaching," reported June. "Not matching any Coalition or Dominion configurations." "On screen," ordered Sung. The main display showed a ship unlike anything Sung had seen before. Where Coalition vessels featured elegant curves and Dominion ships resembled jagged black crystals, this craft had a rough, functional appearance. It looked almost cobbled together, with visible weapons arrays and engine sections that seemed disproportionately large. "They're hailing us," said Day. "Open a channel." The screen shifted to show the interior of the alien vessel. At its center stood a female human. She appeared similar to Sung's own species, but with notable differences. Rounder eyes, smoother skin, and strange coloration. She wore a simple dark uniform with minimal insignia. "This is Captain Kim of the Earth vessel Defiant," she said in perfect Coalition standard language. "We understand you could use some assistance." Sung straightened, in her chair. "Captain Kim, your timing is fortunate, but I must be frank. We are facing overwhelming odds. Your single vessel, while appreciated, cannot turn this battle." Kim smiled slightly. "Commander Sung, my ship is merely the first. 20 more human vessels will arrive within the hour. We've studied your enemy's tactics and believe we can offer something they won't expect." "And what might that be?" Sung asked skeptically. "Unpredictability," Kim replied. "Your Coalition fights with admirable discipline and coordination. The Dominion counters with overwhelming force and precision. Both sides follow established rules of engagement. Humans, we don't play by those rules." As if to punctuate her point, proximity alarms blared across the Aegis. "Dominion attack squadron approaching," shouted June. 6 destroyers on intercept course." Sung turned back to the screen, expecting to see concern on the human captain's face. Instead, Kim looked almost pleased. "Perfect timing," she said calmly. "Commander Sung, with your permission, we'd like to demonstrate our capabilities. Please have your vessels hold position." Against her better judgment, Sung nodded. "Granted, Captain. Show us what humans can do." The screen switched back to exterior view, showing the lone human ship turning to face the approaching Dominion squadron. For the first time in months, Sung felt something unexpected stir within her chest. Hope. Commander Sung watched in disbelief as the human vessel Defiant moved directly toward the 6 approaching Dominion destroyers. No coalition ship would dare such a maneuver. The size difference alone made it seem like suicide. The human craft was barely 1/3 the size of even the smallest Dominion vessel. "They're going to get themselves killed," muttered Officer June, voicing what everyone on the bridge was thinking. The Dominion ships formed their standard attack pattern, a perfect hexagon that maximized their overlapping firepower. It was a formation that had destroyed countless coalition fleets. "Should we move to assist them?" asked Officer Han. Sung hesitated. "No." Captain Kim requested we hold position. The tactical display showed the Defiant accelerating directly toward the center of the Dominion formation. The enemy ships opened fire, their energy weapons cutting purple streaks across space. Yet somehow the human vessel seemed to anticipate each shot, making small, precise movements that caused the blasts to miss by narrow margins. "Impossible," whispered Science Officer Hyun. "Their reaction time shouldn't allow such maneuvers." The Defiant suddenly altered course, diving beneath the Dominion formation and releasing what appeared to be small objects. Before anyone could identify them, the human ship pulled away at surprising speed. "What are they?" June began, but his question was answered as the objects detonated, releasing not explosive force but some kind of electromagnetic pulse that rippled through the Dominion ships. 3 of the 6 vessels immediately lost power, their lights flickering out. "They've disabled half the squadron with a single attack," exclaimed Officer Day. The remaining Dominion ships broke formation, attempting to pursue the Defiant. It was exactly what the humans seemed to want. The coalition crew watched in amazement as the Earth vessel executed maneuvers that defied conventional tactics, repeatedly drawing the Dominion ships into compromising positions and striking at unexpected angles. Within minutes, all 6 Dominion destroyers were either disabled or retreating. The bridge of the Aegis fell silent. "Open a channel to the Defiant," Sung ordered. Captain Kim's face appeared on screen. She appeared calm, though Sung noted a small cut on her forehead that hadn't been there before. "An impressive demonstration, Captain," said Sung, unable to keep the surprise from her voice. Kim nodded. "Thank you. Our 20 additional ships will arrive in approximately 40 minutes. In the meantime, I request permission to come aboard your vessel with my tactical team to discuss strategy." "Permission granted. We'll prepare a landing bay." When the human delegation arrived on the Aegis, many coalition officers gathered to see these strange new allies. Captain Kim led a group of 5 officers, each carrying portable data devices. They looked remarkably like Sung's species, though with subtle differences that became more apparent up close. In the main strategic planning room, Kim wasted no time. She activated a holographic display showing the entire Arcturus system. "Your coalition forces have been fighting a losing battle because you're using predictable, conventional tactics against an enemy that specializes in overwhelming force," she explained. "The Dominion expects you to protect vital positions, maintain formation integrity, and preserve your ships. They anticipate your moves because they're logical." "And humans don't fight logically?" asked Admiral Lee, who had joined via holographic projection. "We fight to win," Kim replied. "Sometimes that means taking calculated risks that might appear irrational." She manipulated the display, highlighting key positions in the system. "The Dominion has committed most of their fleet to a frontal assault because they expect you to defend these positions. What if you didn't?" Commander Sung frowned. "If we abandon those positions, the Dominion gains control of the jump points." "Temporarily," Kim agreed. "But look here and here. She pointed to areas the Coalition had written off as tactically insignificant. My ships can use these approaches to strike their supply lines while your main fleet executes a feigned retreat. The room erupted in protest. Abandoning positions even temporarily contradicted centuries of Coalition military doctrine. During the commotion, the ship shuddered violently. Alarm klaxons blared. "Major Dominion force detected," shouted a tactical officer over the comm system. "At least 30 warships dropping out of hyperspace." The strategic display updated, showing a massive Dominion battle group entering the system. They had caught the Coalition forces completely unprepared. Captain Kim studied the display for only moments before turning to Sung. "Commander, if you trust me, I can turn this ambush against them." Sung looked at the human captain, then at the approaching enemy fleet. Standard Coalition tactics offered no hope against such odds. They had nothing to lose. "What do you need?" she asked. Kim smiled. "Control of your fleet's movement for the next 30 minutes and a direct line to my ships." "You have it," Sung decided. Kim immediately began issuing orders, positioning Coalition ships in ways that seemed to expose critical weaknesses. As the Dominion forces moved to exploit these apparent vulnerabilities, the remaining human vessels dropped out of hyperspace behind them. The trap was sprung, not by the Dominion but by the humans. The Coalition engineering bay bustled with activity as human and alien technicians worked side by side. Engineer Jin had observed the humans with growing curiosity over the past 3 days. Their approach to technology defied everything he had learned in his 140 years of service. "That connection will overload," Jin warned as he watched Lieutenant Park, a human engineer, reroute power conduits in a pattern that violated basic Coalition design principles. Park looked up from his work and smiled. "It would, if we were using standard settings. But watch this." He adjusted several parameters on his tool and continued working. "We're creating a feedback loop that actually strengthens the shield harmonics instead of disrupting them." Jin wanted to argue, but he had already witnessed too many impossible human modifications that somehow worked. Yesterday, they had increased weapons efficiency by 20%, using a configuration that any Coalition engineer would have rejected as dangerous. "How do your people think of these solutions?" Jin finally asked. "They contradict established principles." Park shrugged. "Humans come from a harsh world. We had to adapt constantly to survive. We learned to look at problems from different angles." He finished the connection and stepped back. "Ready to test it?" They activated the shield generator. The reading showed a 30% increase in shield strength with no additional power consumption. "Impossible," Jin whispered. "No," Park corrected. "Just different." Similar scenes played out across the Coalition flagship as humans integrated with the alien crews. Their approaches were unconventional, often seemingly irrational, yet consistently effective. In the tactical center, Commander Sung watched Captain Kim work with her officers to develop a strategy against the next Dominion attack. 4 human ships had been damaged in the previous battle, but the Coalition fleet remained intact, something that would have been unthinkable a week ago. "The Dominion is adapting to our tactics," Kim noted, studying the battle data. "They're beginning to anticipate our movements." "Then we must develop new formations," suggested Officer June. Kim shook her head. "Not just new formations. We need something they can't predict." She turned to Sung. "Commander, how much do you know about human history?" "Very little," Sung admitted. "On Earth we had thousands of years of warfare before we united. One strategy that often succeeded was something we call asymmetric warfare, when a weaker force defeats a stronger one by changing the nature of the conflict." Kim pulled up a new tactical display. "The Dominion expects ships to behave like ships. What if some of them didn't?" Her plan was radical. It involved converting some Coalition vessels into what humans called fire ships, sacrificial crafts designed to disrupt enemy formations. Others would be partially stripped of weapons to increase their speed and serve as decoys. "This violates every principle of Coalition fleet doctrine," protested Admiral Lee's hologram. These ships represent irreplaceable resources. With respect, Admiral, Kim responded. If we lose this war, your ships won't matter anyway. A tense silence followed. Then a new voice joined the conversation. I believe we should try the human approach. All eyes turned to Science Officer Hyun, who had remained silent until now. I've been studying these humans, Hyun continued. Their biology is fascinating. Their bodies are fragile compared to most coalition species, yet they possess remarkable endurance. Their minds process information differently than ours. Hyun activated his own display, showing human brain scans alongside those of various coalition species. Most advanced species evolved toward logical, structured thinking. Humans maintained neural pathways that allow for what they call intuitive leaps, connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. It makes their thinking unpredictable even to themselves. Admiral Lee considered this information. And you believe this gives them an advantage against the Dominion? The Dominion's greatest strength is its perfect coordination and predictable logic, Hyun replied. Human unpredictability confuses their tactical response. I've analyzed the recent battles. The Dominion actually had superior positioning, but they lost because they couldn't anticipate human actions. A junior officer interrupted with an urgent message. Dominion scout ships detected at the edge of the system. Intelligence suggests they're mapping our positions for a major assault. Captain Kim looked at Commander Sung. We don't have much time. Are we doing this my way or not? Before Sung could answer, Admiral Lee spoke. Implement the human strategy. All fleet commanders will coordinate with Captain Kim's tactical team. As the meeting dispersed, Sung approached Kim privately. I'm curious, Captain. Your ships have taken damage. Your people have suffered casualties, yet you seem undeterred. Kim's expression grew serious. Throughout human history, we've faced extinction many times. From nature, from each other, from our own mistakes. We've always found a way to survive. Is that why you joined this fight? For survival? Kim looked around at the coalition officers preparing for battle. No, Commander. We joined because when we finally reached the stars, we promised ourselves we would be better than our history. When we heard your distress signal, there was only one choice we could make. For the first time since the war began, Commander Sung felt something more powerful than hope. She felt certainty. The combined coalition human fleet gathered at the edge of the Arcturus system. 43 ships of various sizes and designs formed, a loose formation that would have horrified any traditional coalition commander. But these were not traditional times. Commander Sung stood on the bridge of the Aegis watching as the final preparations were completed. The ship felt different now. Human engineers had modified many systems, making them more efficient, but also less predictable. Just like their creators. Status report, Sung requested. Officer Jun consulted his modified console. All ships report ready, Commander. The human vessels have taken forward positions as planned. Captain Kim's face appeared on the communication screen. She was on the Defiant, which would lead the first attack wave. Commander Sung, my ships are in position. How are your crews handling the new tactics? There is concern, Sung admitted. But also determination. Your training methods have been effective, Kim nodded. The Dominion fleet is exactly where we predicted. They believe they have us trapped against the asteroid field. They expect us to either retreat or engage in a conventional battle. And instead we give them chaos, Sung said. Controlled chaos, Kim corrected with a slight smile. There's a difference. The plan was unlike anything the coalition had ever attempted. Traditional doctrine demanded tight formations, coordinated attacks, and the protection of valuable capital ships. The human strategy involved deliberate disorganization, sacrificial maneuvers, and unconventional use of the environment. All ships, commence Operation Lightning, Sung ordered. The fleet moved forward, but not as one unit. Small squadrons accelerated at different rates, taking seemingly random vectors toward the waiting Dominion armada. Among them were 6 coalition cruisers that had been partially stripped of weapons and armor to increase their speed dramatically. On the Dominion side, nearly 70 warships waited in perfect formation. Their black, crystalline shapes created an intimidating wall of destructive potential. They had positioned themselves to counter the standard coalition approach, an approach that wasn't coming. The first human ships reached engagement range and immediately split into pairs, attacking from unexpected angles. The modified coalition cruisers raced ahead at surprising speed, drawing Dominion fire while smaller vessels moved into attack positions. "The enemy is adjusting their formation," reported June. "They're trying to create a containment pattern." Just as Captain Kim predicted, Sung noted, "Signal Phase 2. 5 coalition ships that had been hiding within the asteroid field suddenly emerged, striking the Dominion rear guard. At the same moment, 3 human vessels executed a maneuver that sent them straight through a narrow gap in the enemy formation, firing specialized weapons that disrupted the Dominion's communications network. The enemy's perfect coordination began to falter. "Commander," June called out urgently. "New Dominion ships detected. They had a reserve fleet hiding on the far side of the gas giant." Sung felt her blood run cold. This was not part of the plan. 20 additional Dominion warships were moving to surround the coalition human fleet. "We're caught between 2 forces," Officer Han stated the obvious. "The humans' plan has failed." The communication screen activated again, showing Captain Kim. She was bleeding from a cut on her face, and smoke filled the background of her bridge. "Commander Sung, the Dominion countermove was stronger than anticipated," she admitted. "But we prepared for this possibility." "You knew this might happen?" Sung asked in disbelief. "We hoped it wouldn't, but humans always plan for the worst." Kim's expression was calm despite the chaos around her. "Execute Contingency Protocol Omega, now." Sung hesitated only briefly before giving the order. "All ships implement Omega Protocol." What followed appeared to be a complete coalition collapse. Ships began to break formation, some seemingly fleeing while others drifted as if disabled. The Dominion forces, sensing victory, moved in to destroy the scattered fleet. "They're taking the bait," Kim observed. 3, 2, 1. At her count, the apparently fleeing coalition ships suddenly reversed course, their engines flaring at maximum output. The disabled vessels activated hidden weapon systems. From within the asteroid field emerged 5 more human ships that had been concealed there since before the battle began. The Dominion fleet found itself suddenly surrounded, its careful formation shattered by the human tactics. Their commanders, programmed to expect logical responses, could not adapt quickly enough to the apparent madness of their opponents' movements. "All ships, concentrated fire on designated targets," ordered Sung. The coalition and human vessels struck with perfect coordination, focusing overwhelming firepower on key Dominion command ships. Without their central coordination, the Dominion's advantage of numbers began to mean less. On the Defiance bridge, Captain Kim watched as the tide of battle turned decisively. "The Dominion flagship is attempting to retreat," reported her tactical officer. "Not today," Kim replied. "Signal the Aegis. Tell Commander Sung it's time for the final phase." As the remaining Dominion ships attempted to withdraw and regroup, they found their escape routes blocked by mines the humans had secretly deployed during the battle's chaos. Caught between the determined coalition fleet and their own crumbling strategy, the mighty Dominion force began to collapse. For the first time in the long war, the Dominion was in full retreat. The observation deck of the coalition flagship Celestial offered a perfect view of the assembled fleet. Admiral Sung, recently promoted after the victory at Arcturus, stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the final preparations for the assault on the Dominion homeworld. 3 months had passed since humans had entered the war, 3 months that had transformed a desperate last stand into a coordinated counteroffensive. The coalition, once on the verge of extinction, now stood at the threshold of victory. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" said a voice behind her. Sung turned to see Captain Kim approaching. The human commander looked different now, more rested but with new scars that hadn't been there when they first met. A small metal pin on her collar indicated her new role as coordinator of the combined fleet's tactical operations. "I never thought I would see this day," Sung admitted. 300 coalition ships, alongside your human fleet preparing for the final battle. Kim joined her at the viewport. The Dominion still outnumbers us 2-1. Numbers aren't everything in warfare, Sung replied, echoing the humans' words from their first meeting. Sometimes it's about doing what the enemy believes impossible. They shared a rare smile. Working together had changed them both. Officer June entered the observation deck and saluted. Admiral, Captain, the War Council is assembling. They await your presence. In the command center, leaders from 17 coalition species gathered around a massive holographic display of the Dominion home system. Human officers stood among them, no longer seen as outsiders, but as essential allies. Admiral Lee, now Supreme, commander of coalition forces, called the meeting to order. Our intelligence confirms the Dominion has recalled all available ships to defend their homeworld. Their leadership believes we will attempt a traditional siege. But that's not our plan, Sung added. Captain Kim, please explain the operation. Kim stepped forward. The Dominion expects us to target their military installations and planetary defenses. That's logical. Instead, we will execute a precision strike against their central hive node. She manipulated the holographic display, highlighting a structure deep within the Dominion capital city. This is the core of their collective consciousness. Our human scientists, working with coalition experts, have developed a targeted electromagnetic pulse that will temporarily disrupt their hive mind. Not to destroy them, clarified Science Officer Hyun, but to create confusion that will allow our diplomatic team to communicate directly with their individual units. The plan was bold, a combination of coalition expertise and human creativity. Not a strategy of extermination, but one that might end the war without destroying the Dominion entirely. 2 days later, the assault began. The coalition human fleet entered the Dominion system, immediately facing heavy resistance. The battle was fierce, with losses on both sides, yet it unfolded according to the carefully crafted plan. On the Celestial's bridge, Admiral Sung coordinated the main fleet's movements while specialized teams of human and coalition commandos deployed to the planet's surface. The fighting was intense, but the months of combined training had forged an effective force. Teams Alpha and Beta have reached the target, reported Officer Day. They're preparing to activate the pulse device. Dominion reinforcements approaching. Their position, warned June. They won't reach the extraction point in time. Sung exchanged a glance with Kim. Both understood what this meant. The commando team would not survive. Team Alpha reports the device is armed. Day continued. Countdown initiated. The bridge fell silent. On the tactical display, they watched as Dominion forces converged on the commando team's position. Pulse activated, called Day suddenly. Across the system, Dominion ships abruptly ceased fire. Their perfect formations broke apart as individual vessels began moving erratically, or stopped altogether. The hive mind that coordinated their actions had been disrupted. All ships hold fire, ordered Sung. Broadcast the peace message on all frequencies. Coalition linguists had prepared a message designed to reach individual Dominion units, explaining that the coalition sought not destruction, but coexistence. Without the overriding control of the hive mind, the individual Dominion units could hear this message for the first time. Hours passed as strange communications began coming from Dominion vessels, confused at first, then increasingly coherent. The Dominion units were experiencing individual thought, some for the first time in their existence. 1 month later, representatives from the coalition, human governments, and newly independent Dominion factions gathered on Earth to sign the peace accord. The ceremony took place in an ancient hall that humans called the United Nations, a place that had once represented their own species' struggle to overcome division. Admiral Sung stood beside Captain Kim as the documents were signed. The war that had nearly exterminated the coalition was over. What happens now? Sung asked quietly. Kim looked around at the diverse gathering of species. Something better than war. We build together. Humans are good at fighting when necessary, but we're even better at creating. Outside the hall, scientists from all 3 civilizations were already sharing knowledge that would benefit everyone. medical advances that would save billions of lives, technologies that would explore the galaxy without destroying it. I think I understand now, said Sung, watching as former enemies conversed freely. Why humans made the difference in this war. Why is that? Asked Kim. You didn't just help us survive. You reminded us what we were surviving for.